And hello and welcome to the show. Why did no one tell me who watches on YouTube that I had toothpaste on my face on the show dated the 25th of July? I can't believe it. I don't know, I was just looking back. Now and again I go backwards and I look back at the quality and just generally how shows look on the YouTube thing, and I thought, well, it must be a bit of a mark on the computer monitor here. So I give it a rub, and it was still there. And then I noticed, as my head was turning, this mark on my face was moving as well. So I froze the picture, and on closer inspection, I realised throughout the entire show I had a bit of toothpaste on my cheek. So I'm sorry, those of you that noticed that. I do apologise. I've never seen anything like it. Imagine, just fancy doing an entire show with a bit of toothpaste on your cheek. So I must apologise for my uncleanliness. Well, I mean, actually, it is cleanliness, isn't it? At least you know I bother to brush my teeth and have a little bit of a wash before I come on. The only thing is, perhaps I do it the wrong way round, you see. I wash my face and do my hair, which doesn't take long, to be honest, and then I brush my teeth. Now, if I did it the other way, then any toothbrush that had been on any toothpaste that would have been on my face would have been there already, wouldn't it? Oh, it's just madness, absolute madness. Not only that, but I also noticed, those of you that watch the video side of things, if you burn I don't know if anyone's burnt the show to a DVD, if you've done that, but I'm always like, I don't watch or listen to the whole show. I couldn't bear to do that. Quite frankly, I don't know how you can. But so sometimes I look at bits and pieces and say, yeah, that looks all right, and move on another half an hour. Okay. Anyway, so I put one of the shows on DVD because Joy in Acton, one of my long-time friends, dear Joy in Acton, who watches the show on DVD. She hasn't got a computer, so she can't listen or watch the show, unfortunately, where she is. So I put the shows on DVD and send them in the post. And I noticed on the DVD, the words that come up at the bottom of the screen, for example, my name and the email address that pop up throughout the show, are not quite on the screen properly, are they? So you miss a lot of them. So I will readjust that for this show, and from now on that should be sorted. So sorry about that. We're always trying to improve. If you can think of any ways to improve the programme, please let me know. And don't be funny. We don't want any nasty comments or anything like that. My email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, which actually reminds me, I need to renew the PO box for anyone who wants to send anything in. Occasionally people like to send stuff in rather than emailing it, and if you want to do that, I'm going to have to do the address from memory. Oh, can I do the address from memory, actually? 4073 Bracknell, Berkshire, 9E. Yes, I think I can. Hang on, because I've usually got that written down in front of me. Yeah, if you want to put pen to paper, or indeed you want to send anything in to the show, don't send any food or anything like that, because you might try and poison me. Okay? And I'm not ready to go yet. I am not ready to go yet. Incidentally, talking about illnesses, as you can hear, 2 days makes the world of difference, doesn't it? My voice has almost returned to normal. I was hoping to be sitting here today with my new little microphone on, but unfortunately it's still not arrived yet. I think it's going to come on a day when I'm out, because I have to go out tomorrow for the whole day, and you can guarantee they're going to try and deliver it tomorrow, can't you? I mean, you can absolutely guarantee it. So I'll probably have to wait another 2 days then. Oh, the perils of having stuff home delivered. It's not good really, is it? Huh? How many people listening or watching this show at the moment have so many times ordered something and it's not come when you expected it to come, and in fact you've ended up having to wait much longer because they delivered when you were out, and then it's a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. So I have a feeling I'm going to have to wait another few days for that, but never mind, you can still hear me at least. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, really. Anyway, the P.O. box, if you want to send anything in, and I've just paid to renew that. It's not cheap, you know. Do you know how much it costs? Shall I tell you? For the benefit of you, dear loyal friend, dear loyal listener and viewer, it costs £120 a year to have a P.O. box and have the stuff delivered to your address. It's outrageous, isn't it? I mean, you could just have the P.O. box and go down there every now and again to see if anything's there. But the trouble is, you don't know if anything's there or not. You see what I mean? So you can go all that way down there. They don't say, I don't think they send you a card or anything, but you can go all the way down to the post office and say, hello, have you got anything for P.O. Box 4073? No, nothing for you today. And it's not an easy, I mean, it's not miles and miles away, but it's a good 20 minutes by bicycle. I can't be going down there every day, can I? So you've got to pay the whole lot to have it. First, the post office box, which is about £60, and then to have it delivered from the post office box to your home is another £60. £120 a year, dear. Just so you can send the occasional letter, so please, please use it. The address, if you want to send anything through the post, is Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG42 9ED, United Kingdom. Once again, Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG42 9ED, United Kingdom. Do use that occasionally for the occasional letter, because it's a lot of money to keep this thing open, and I did actually consider, maybe I should just let this go, because I don't get an awful lot of letters, pen to paper letters through the post. It is, of course, so much easier to send an email, but I am aware that certain radio stations play this programme on FM, and not everyone has email, so that's why I've got that. Okay, a little bit of a disaster last night. I have to say, I was off last night, so I had nothing to do. So I had my dinner, which was actually very nice. It was a not a shepherd's pie. What's the other one? Cottage. It was a cottage pie. It was a cottage pie, as cooked by my nephew's girlfriend, Stacey. She was here a few months ago. She'd done a load and it was in the freezer. So I had that. I also took out of the freezer a blueberry crumble, which I made, probably way back in September last year. I mean, it's all right. It's in the freezer. This stuff lasts forever in the freezer, doesn't it? I mean, it really does. And if I'm doing a crumble or something like that, I always do sort of 4 at a time and stick them in the oven to make full use of the oven and not waste electricity. Thank you very much. And then I'll freeze 3 of them, you see. So I took this one out of the blueberry crumble out of the freezer yesterday afternoon, and I left it all day to defrost, and I put it on the on the draining board. And I had my dinner, and I thought I'll have some of that blueberry crumble now with custard. Now I always have a couple of tins of Ambrosia dairy cream custard in the cupboard. Oh, it's delicious. I mean, I've tried making custard with powder, but it's never the same as that custard that you get out of the tins, the Ambrosia one. So I've had my dinner. I've gone back into the kitchen. Spooned some of this blueberry crumble onto a dish, Quite a large amount, to be honest. I think it probably serves 4, but mine served 2, if you get my drift. Shoved it in the microwave, put it on sort of half power for about 3 or 4 minutes. Took it out, and yeah, that's hot enough. I then went to the cupboard to get my ambrosia dairy custard, and guess what? Yes, no ambrosia cream custard. Oh, it was awful. All I had in there was the ambrosia dairy cream rice, or whatever it is they do. And I searched high and low for this can of custard. None left. I looked at the clock, it was 8:30. And I thought, oh, I'll eat it without. So I actually picked up the plate, took it in the room, sat in front of the television. I think I was watching Casualty 1909, a recording of that, which I did at the weekend. Anyone see that, by the way, in the UK? Casualty 1909. Great TV series. Actually, it's finished now. But I do believe BBC 4 are showing the either a very new series or it's not the same series I was watching. BBC 4 are still showing this on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. Now there's only 3 of them, so by the time you see this show there'll only be another one. Okay, but it is worth watching. Casualty 1909, BBC 4 on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And I took a spoonful and I had it and I thought, oh, this is just too dry. And then I thought, I wonder if the co-op is still open, because I've got a co-op little like side shop just down the road. So I quickly put my shoes on and went out. Didn't need a coat because it's been nice and warm again. Although it's not sunny. I mean, today, once again, of course, I was hoping to go in the garden this morning. It was nice and sunny, and then there's showers, and then it's sunny, and we'd be in and out like a yo-yo. I mean, it'd be awful. So we weren't able to do that. That's why I'm back in the studio. In Studio 2, incidentally, which we don't have a name for yet. We need a name for this new studio. Now, what can it be? I would like to put another mirror ball up in here, I think, because we've been missing the rotating mirror ball. Have you? I have. I miss the rotating mirror ball, and I think I should put it up there, just behind me there. I will do that at some point, okay? Don't rush me, I've told you before, don't rush me. So, where was I now? So I went down to the co-op, and fortunately, they had 2 tins of ambrosia dairy cream custard, not the same prices in the large supermarket, but never mind, 85 pence, and I rushed home, shoved the blueberry crumble back in the microwave for a couple of minutes, put it out, nice cold custard on it, and oh, absolutely delicious. Alright, so I didn't want you to worry there that I'd sacrificed myself by having blueberry crumble without custard. We got the custard in the end. And talking of food, incidentally, Suko from New York, when she was over here a couple of weeks ago, and indeed singing at the karaoke, I do hope you all saw that, by the way. Suko, while she was here, gave me a gift of 6 cans of Bush's baked beans. If you're in the UK, you won't know what that is, will you? They are baked beans from the US of A, made by a company called Bush's Baked Beans, and they are to die for. I don't know what they put in there, but they've got this tang, which is beautiful. So if you ever go over to the States, treat yourself. Bring back a few cans. I think, are you allowed to do that, actually? Yes, I think it's just meat and dairy products you're not allowed to bring back. I'm sure you can bring back cans of baked beans. Bring yourself back a couple of cans of Bush's baked beans, and you won't be disappointed. Really nice. And the thing is, Suko, I've only got 2 tins left. What is a man to do? I use the term man very loosely, of course. What am I to do? I'm running out of baked beans, dear. Shocking. Have I started that? Just a minute. Oh, for 1 minute, I thought I've forgotten to start the camera then. So I don't know. Does anyone know in the UK, can we get Bush's baked beans in the UK? I must actually make a note of that. Bush beans, and I'll have a look myself on the internet when I finish the show. Okay, Bush's baked beans are absolutely delicious. Do try some. Now, in the last show, you saw me rush out of the... Well, you didn't see me rush out of the studio. As soon as I finished, I had to rush out down to the train station and change my tickets because, foolishly, I'd bought train tickets for the wrong day. So I got to the train station, and as I walked in the foyer, I looked across, and all the shutters were down, and it said, position closed, and I thought, oh no. Because you see, the only other way I would have been able to change the tickets would be to get up the next morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. I would have had to get them before 8 o'clock because the train was due at 8, right? So if I went in after that and tried to change them, they could say, ah yes, but you might have used these already. Do you see what I'm saying? And I really didn't want, so I went to this boy who was standing on the by the barriers, and I said, oh, I've got these tickets for tomorrow. I said, I bought the wrong ones, what do I do? And he says, oh, there's a sign on the door, mate, it'll be open again shortly, go and have a look. Oh, right, okay, so I went over there, and sure enough, there's a sign there, closed between 3:50 and 4 o'clock or something like that. Probably gone to tea break or something. So I thought, fair enough. So I'm standing there in this foyer. I thought, well, I'll go and get a cup of tea myself because there's a little place where you can have tea. So I went and bought, you know, one of those little paper cups of tea, and also a Kit Kat. I've started eating Kit Kats for some reason. Is that a bad thing? There are not too many calories in a Kit Kat, are there? Kit Kat, and something else I've started eating to I don't know if I'm eating it to excess, but cheese. I don't know why. I've started eating, and not just, you know, none of this mild stuff. Proper, mature, number 6 on the packet cheese. Oh, it's delicious. One in particular I like is Mull of Kintyre cheese. Very, very tasty. Nice little tang to that. I do believe my taste buds are actually changing. Isn't that strange? I am enjoying spicy foods and things with a bit of a tang to them. Wonder why that is. Perhaps I have suddenly got older. Da, da, da. Is that possible? So anyway, they're the 2 items I'm having. So I got my cup of tea, and you know the cups of tea, the little paper cups of tea, they now give you a bit of cardboard round the outside as well, don't they? Because I'm sure you have experienced many times before they brought this bit of cardboard out, they give you a cup of tea in a paper cup, and you can't hold the blooming thing because it's so hot. So I stood next to the kiosk waiting for it to open. And as I stood there, this woman's come in, and she's standing by the kiosk as well now, right? And just as she approaches, suddenly the shutter goes up. And she says to me, are you next? I say, oh, it's all right, love, I'll drink my cup of tea and have my Kit Kat first. She says, okay then. So she moves over. And I'm earwigging here. I'm listening to what's going on, right? And it was shocking. Now, I knew that train fares had gone up quite a lot in this country recently, over the last few years. It is not cheap to travel at certain times by train. And I heard this lady ask, she was very well spoken, very pretty lady. I heard her ask for a ticket. She wanted to go from Bracknell to Wigan tomorrow. I don't know if it was a return journey or not, but nonetheless, that's the journey she wanted to do. And I thought I heard the ticket bloke saying, yeah, that'd be £242, please. And I thought to myself, you're not listening properly, Chris. Try, you know, listen again. And I heard her say, how much? And then I definitely heard him say, £242, please. And she's like, oh, wasn't that much before? And then the bloke in the kiosk says, that's the price if you want to go via London. Do you want to go via Reading? And she says, well, how much is that? Now, I might have these prices a little bit wrong, okay, but they're not far out from what I was listening to. If she wanted to go via Reading, it was about £140. I mean, work that one out. I just don't get that at all. And she says, 140, yeah. She says, that still sounds very expensive to me. I'll have to come back to you and ring the office. So off she trotted, and she just stood next to the kiosk, pushed a few buttons on her mobile phone. I was trying to listen to what was going on. And as she went off, another two people were in the queue. I'm still standing on the side, drinking my cup of tea and eating my... Well, I finished my Kit Kat now. I was tempted at that point to purchase another Kit Kat. But I thought, Chris, don't be piggish. Got to keep the weight off, dear. Especially having been swimming this week, have I, because of the cold. Whatever it is. Possible mild swine flu symptoms, I don't know. Whatever it is. So, another man then bought a ticket fairly quickly and off he went. And then another woman, older lady, came to the front. Now, I didn't hear where she said she was going. But I heard her get 3 quotes. The first was for £260 odd. Did you hear that right? She wants to travel somewhere again tomorrow. £260 odd. Okay? If she goes via London. If she goes via Reading, so she hummed and she said, I can't afford that. She said, how has it got that expensive? The second quote was for about £120 if she went via Reading. And she said, that still sounds very expensive. So the bloke says, hang on a minute, pushed a few more buttons on his computer. He says, I can do it for £71.50. Yes, you're thinking about it now, aren't you? I just don't get it. How can it be? We're not talking the first class for either of these customers here, okay? But how can it be that it's so much more expensive, excuse me, by going via... Always one of my alarms going off. I'll have to turn it off. Just a minute. Just a minute now. Turn the alarm off here. Where's the thing? Stay there, stay there. I can't remember how to do this now. I'll have a glass of water as well while I'm over there. Sorry about that. How can it be so much more expensive to go via one different town or another when you still end up in the same place? I mean, there's a huge difference between 240 quid and 140 quid, but there's even a bigger difference between 260 quid and 71 quid. The same journey going via a different place really does make all that difference, it would seem. But even to me, to go from Bracknell to Wigan at the cheaper rate of £140 still seems a hell of a lot of money to me. Doesn't it you? And it's shocking. And this should not be allowed. The original lady finished on her mobile phone and she's back in the queue. I'm still drinking my tea. I said to her, I hope you don't mind me saying, did I hear him quote you £240 to go to Wigan? She says, yes. I said, that sounds a hell of a lot. She says, well, I've just spoken to my boss now and he told me it would be cheaper to get a cab from Bracknell, a minicab or a taxi from Bracknell to London and get a train from Euston there. I mean, it's shocking, isn't it? Absolutely shocking what they're charging just because she wants to go tomorrow, and I'll come on to that in a minute. So I said, well, I can't believe it. She said, even £140 is a bit... I said, it is a bit steep. I expected when I heard you say London to Wigan, I expected him to say something like 50 quid, £50, which still is expensive. I mean, in my car, I could probably do London to Wigan and it would cost me probably about £25 in fuel. So that's why it sounds so expensive to me. Not only that, right, so she then went and finished her ticket, and then I'd finished my tea and I joined the queue. There was no one in the queue, it was only the lady, so I thought I wasn't in a rush, so I let her get her ticket first. And then I went with my 2 tickets, and very, very nice chap who was serving in the kiosk. I don't know what his name was. I said, oh, I'm ever so sorry, I was here early. He said, oh, I remember. I said, I've only bought these for the wrong day. I bought these for Thursday and they should be Friday. Can you swap them over for me? I'm dreadfully sorry. He said, yeah, no problem at all, mate. So he's typing the things in. I says, last time I had to go to London, it was like an early-ish morning, like 10 o'clock in the morning type thing. And I swore I'd never do it again. The traffic is awful, the parking is dreadful, and you never know when one of these Hitlers who walk around putting parking one of the council parking attendants are just spying all the time. You can't get away with it. You absolutely can't get away with it. So it's just a nightmare. So that's why I wanted to take the train. So he was laughing. Yeah. I says, by the way, I said, I hope you don't mind me asking, but you quoted that lady £240 to go to Wigan. I said, why is that so expensive? He said, because she wants to go tomorrow. I said, is it better to book in advance? He says, oh yes. He said, much better. He says, in some cases, it's two-thirds cheaper if you book in advance. That's a lot of money. So I got my tickets and off I went, and I rang my sister up on the way home on my mobile phone. Well, I'm on my bicycle, okay? So I'm cycling on a bicycle, mobile phone in hand. Very dangerous, okay? I have had an accident like that when I was on my way to the cinema a couple of weeks ago. You might have remembered that when I went to see Star Trek. I was cycling along at night time, and I've got a mobile phone. There was a bit on the road where one's higher than the other. Not the road, on the cycle lane where it kind of splits up, and one goes up and one goes down. I had the phone in the hand, and I sort of judged it, and I fell over on my bike. Fortunately, no one saw me, because that's the worst thing out of everything, isn't it? When someone actually sees you fall off. Dreadful. So I'm ringing up my sister, and I told her. She said, yeah, that's right. She said, when we, because my sister and my little nephew and my niece came down from London around about this time last year to go to my uncle's funeral, Uncle Mike. Remember I told you about him? Do you know that's a year ago? On my life, that is a year ago that I was sitting here telling you that I went to my uncle's funeral. Don't it go quick, eh? So I was telling her about this, and she said, oh yes, she says, when we booked to come down from London, because we booked, I think it was 4 or 6 weeks in advance, we saved 80% of the full fare. Unbelievable, isn't it? 80% by booking 4 to 6 weeks in advance. And boys and girls, there's an even cheaper way of travelling, and that is by coach. We have a network of coach routes here in the UK, and the most well-known operator that uses these coaches is National Express. There are others. The one I know is National Express, and you can go to places for literally peanuts. My friend James Dean, who's actually on his way down here tonight with his friend Madam Aries. They're going to see a theatrical production of dreamboats and petticoats in London tonight, and they're coming to see me afterwards. But he travels from Manchester, and he comes down by coach, and he books weeks ahead. And how much do you think he pays to come down here? And he's not like an infant or anything like that, you know, he's an adult. How much do you think he pays return Manchester to London? Go on, have a guess. You'll die when I tell you this, unless you've seen one of the previous shows, in which case you'll know already. Manchester to London return. How much do you think that is? If you book a few weeks ahead, you can do it not for £40, not for £20. If you knock off the O, that's right, £2. Book in advance, National Express. You can do Manchester to London and back again for £2. Now, there are people who, for some strange reason, don't want to sit on a coach. I don't know. They consider them smelly, dirty things. Let me tell you, they are not smelly and dirty, most of them now. This is not the coaches of the 1960s, extremely uncomfortable. Some of them have toilets on. I don't know if the one from Manchester does. And I think some of them have video entertainment on there as well. £2 by coach. So if you're on a budget, that is definitely worth looking at. Because the train fares, and I love the trains. I absolutely love the trains. You may remember about 2 years ago, I actually considered giving up all the DJing stuff I did and all that and learning to become a train driver. Now, unfortunately, I did get the application form and all this, and apparently I filled out something wrong on the application form, which meant I didn't get the interview. And also, once they've said no, you have to wait 6 months before you can reapply. So I didn't actually reapply. I kind of had a change of heart, and I thought, no, I'll stick to what I'm doing. I love the trains, but the price, the cost of actually using them is extremely high. Now, my little trip to Bracknell, from Bracknell to London and back again, and I am travelling at peak time, 8 o'clock in the morning, is costing me £23. If I was travelling off-peak, it would be about £14.80, which I think is a fair price to go from Bracknell to London and back again, about £7 each way. I wouldn't be able to do that in the car. It would be about £5 in fuel and probably the same again in parking fees. It's expensive to park in London, very expensive. So that's a fair price, £14.80. £23 is expensive. £22 and £23 I think is expensive to do that journey. But I understand that you're travelling at peak time and they don't want anyone else to travel at peak time because the railways can't cope. But the whole London to Wigan thing, £260 is the biggest rip-off I've ever heard. It really is. Have you got any comments at all on train prices, perhaps train journeys? Are you a fan of the trains? Because I am. I love it. I love the trains. If I ever go on holiday anywhere like that and there's one of those steam train things nearby, I have to go on it. Mum and Dad used to take me on those all the time. I loved it. And I've had electric train sets and everything. Any train stories at all? Send them in on the old email, okay? Chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. All right, boys and girls. Time for some emails. Here we go. Oh, where are we? So much on my lap. Incidentally, in the studio today, those of you who are listening and not watching, I have surrounded myself with beautiful plants. I have a nice trailing thing here. I've now After watching the last show on the YouTube thing, I've now taken the glass doors off the glass cabinet and removed the legs so that it's actually lower down, so you can actually see everything now. I've got to just close your eyes and imagine this if you're listening to it. There's like 3 shelves on this glass cabinet. In the bottom one, I've got a picture of me, myself, and my mother. There's a vase. There's my crystal champagne flutes. Listen. Do you like that? Shall I pick one up and play it to you? Listen, my crystal champagne flutes. Ding! Very nice. Which were actually a gift when I left my British Telecom job. That's way back in 19... Oh dear. I think 1989. No, maybe a little later than that. I think 1990, somewhere around there I left my BT engineering job to become a full-time entertainer. Got candles on the bottom shelf as well. Above that, on the next shelf, we have something Suko sent in a couple of Christmases ago, a little display thing with a picture of myself, the Queen and Suko sitting around a table with a teacup and 3 Buddhas sitting on the top, which were sent in by Ivona in Slovakia. We have next to that an Isle of Wight plate, as sent in by Kat and David on the Isle of Wight. Thank you very much for those. That's the first time we've been able to put that up there. Above that, we have my On Air light, my Roberts radio, and my Dallas cat, as sent in by Susan, who lives in Dallas. So thank you for that, Susan. Next to that is my chair where I'm sitting, and a little footstool. I have a footstool that you can't actually see next to me there because it's very comfortable. This was my mother's, and it was made for her by a blind person. I think possibly to raise funds, and it's very well made. This must be at least 25 years old, okay? It doesn't rock or anything like that. Very, very well made piece of furniture, and it's a shame that furniture is no longer made like that, I think. I chucked out a little bedside cabinet that I've had for about 15 or 16 years, maybe a bit longer, about 17 years now. And it was so simple to break it because all the drawers started falling apart and all that. And I literally dropped it outside next to the bin and it just collapsed. Absolutely useless piece of furniture. A lot of the stuff's like that nowadays. I mean, even this glass cabinet, if I was to knock that over, it wouldn't survive. Not only would the glass break, but all the metal bits would fall apart and everything. Things are just not well made anymore, are they? It's all cheap, cheap, cheap. So next to that, I've got me a nice, comfortable chair. I had considered putting a sofa in here and having it like, you know, one of those daytime morning shows. But I honestly don't think there's the space. I know I'm in a bigger room now, but the problem is I can't pull back the camera far enough, as I said to you on the last show. So I don't think we're going to get a sofa in here. So I might get another one of these chairs, because now in the office I'm only sitting on a kitchen chair, and it's so uncomfortable for my delicate little bottom. Pardon. Next to that, I have a nice table lamp. We have some red roses from my garden, and we have some yellow. Or what are they? They're not chrysanthemums, are they? Little yellow... Oh, I can't think what they are. They might be chrysanthemums. Don't know. Don't know what they are. Some yellow ones next to that. And behind me, the Union Jack has now been safety pinned up onto the black curtain. So it's all looking much more colourful now. All right? See, I do try my best to make things look nice. Now, emails then. Hello to Tom Harris. He does his own podcast. You can find that at tomharrisusa.com. tomharrisusa.com. And he writes, we were talking in a previous show about people building on floodplains. He says, I agree with you about building in a floodplain. It's not a good idea. Yeah, people do it all the time. I suppose the land is cheaper there. He says, I'll explain it thus. It may only flood on a floodplain once every 100 years. But assuming you live in a house for 30 years, That's almost a 1 in 3 chance that you'll be flooded. Which isn't good, is it? He says, I don't really much like these odds. What I also don't understand, and people listening or watching the show hopefully will be able to answer this one. I don't understand why people live in places where there are constantly hurricanes, but maybe that's just me. You'd think smart people would avoid Galveston, Texas, New Orleans, and most of Florida. And that's from Tom. Now, I happen to know we do have people living in Texas and Florida who listen to this show. Don't know if there's anyone in New Orleans. Now, that was a place I've always wanted to visit, that New Orleans. I'd love to go into the jazz clubs that we all hear about and experience what must be some fantastic atmosphere over there. But when you think about it, New Orleans, okay, popular for all that sort of thing. What a stupid place to build a city. Who on earth ever thought of building a city next to the sea, below the sea level? That's just madness. They must have known at some point the sea would get in. And I don't get it. I know there is a lot of poverty in New Orleans, so I can understand people living there because, well, it's cheap. It must be cheap to live there, I would guess. But what about Floridians? I think that's what you're called, isn't it? People who live in Florida and Texas. You guys you're okay, aren't you? I mean, you might not be rolling in money, but come on. You're all right with your cash, aren't you? Why do you live in a place that is guaranteed to have a couple of hurricanes every year or every couple of years? Or with Texas, of course, tornadoes. Why would you want to live somewhere that suffers from tornadoes? Or don't you have a choice? I'd be really interested to find out why you want to live in such places. Maybe we got people living in an earthquake zone. San Francisco, or perhaps China, or Japan. I know you have earthquakes there. Why do you live somewhere where you are almost guaranteed to have natural disasters? Please let me know on the old email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Perhaps the benefits of the place you are living outweigh the natural disasters. Do they? If so, what are the benefits? Why do you continue living in a place where you could be blown away next week? chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Over to London now. Hello to Pat. Hello, Pat. Pat used to come to the karaoke on at the Golden Lion when it was open. And recently, her and her partner Lala came down to the Belushi's karaoke, which I host every Monday night in Hammersmith. And Pat writes, just listening to your show and thought to write you an email. Remember me? And Lala came down to Hammersmith for karaoke back in June. Yes, of course I do. It was lovely to see you again. It was lovely to see you again too. And of course hear Lala sing. He's particularly good at I Believe I Can Fly. You know the song by R. Kelly? I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. That one. Pat says, I'm at work, but this time of the year is very quiet, so quite bored actually. And your show makes the time pass quicker. Thank you for making a show that makes a boring working day more entertaining. Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. As you have a cat, you may appreciate this. My cat, Snoke, which is Dutch for a pike, the fish, is surely the most picky cat ever. He will only eat Felix fish flavour from a pouch. Any other flavour? No thanks. Same flavour from a can? No thanks. If I give him anything else, he will keep on meowing for food and will not touch it. Oh, he must have his side dish of dry food as well. Otherwise, he won't even touch the pouch. Try to teach him to be less picky, but who can deal with the constant complaining he shan't eat any human food either? Except for mackerel in tomato sauce. But he is very dear to me and would not change him for any other cat ever. Anyway, back to work, I guess. Take care. And that's from Pat. Thank you, Pat. I'm just looking at the bottom of your email there. And you work for Pearson. Are they the people who do the who own Thames Television now? Are you in television, Pat? Are you? I didn't know that. Oh, you kept that one quiet, dear. Right, onward. Let's say hello to... Let me get these in the correct order. There we are. Let's say hello to Andy. Hello, Andy. Been a while, Andy. Now and again you appear and then you disappear again. Andy says, thought you might be interested in read this article by a vet on overweight cats, which indeed I did. Thanks very much. He says, my feline friend and flatmate Gemma loves, are you ready for this? Dry cat food. And the occasional treat of tuna. Seems to do her okay. Surprised you haven't thought before about stopping feeding Katie until she loses some weight. For a day or two at least. Or I couldn't do that. I just couldn't do that. Hold back food from her, you know, I can't do that. Clearly, he says, she's being fed elsewhere. Well, it could be, yeah. Could also save you money on the cat food bill. No saving money would appear to appeal to you. Oh, well, it does, but I couldn't stop feeding the poor cat. Poor little Katie. Cheers from Andy. Yeah, actually, maybe you can get, you know that you can get ever such small little video cameras now, can't you? And maybe you could tie one to the cat's neck and set it to record and just see where she goes. Couldn't I? She's got to be being fed somewhere else. I know she is. Naughty Katie. Hello to Robert in Iceland, who writes, Dear friends and Chris of United Kingdom Talk, on a previous show, you asked and inquired as to whether I could determine the number and colour of your said wheelie bins from Google Earth. I have, after adjusting my personal satellite, Elfie1, I'm now in a position to tell you one is black, rather tatty actually, and the other is a sort of shabby green colour. Ta-ta for now, O'Bean, and that's from Robert in Iceland. Now I know you're lying, Robert, because one of them isn't black at all, and there's not two. I have 3 wheelie bins. One is green, one is blue, and one is brown. So you've made a bit of an error there, haven't you? Eh? I have 3, not 2, and they're different colours to what you said. So you've lied to me, Robert, in Iceland. Terrible, dear. Fancy lying to your friend Chris Reardon in the UK. It's a bit naughty, that, Robert. Okay, let's see. Where are we going now? Oh, this one here. Ben, here in Bracknell, saw me singing I Will Survive on a previous show, a couple of shows ago. And he wrote, you should have been in drag for that song I Will Survive. I don't think so, Ben. We don't do women's clothes, I'm afraid. I'll leave that for the drag queens. I can't be doing that. I did try it once and it's really not for me. I felt so uncomfortable in it. No, we're not doing that, Ben. Thank you very much. Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Right, so I love the green shirt you wore and the song I Will Survive, which is a personal favourite. Hope this post, the last comment I posted, is not showing, from Lisa, who writes via YouTube. Yeah, I don't know why your last comment didn't show up, but that one did, so that's all working now, okay? Hello to Thomas O'Brien in London. Hello, Tom. Who finds the show via my Facebook posts. I am on Facebook if you want to join me on there. It's Chris Reardon UK. Alright, for my Facebook it's Chris Reardon UK. He says, Thomas says, laugh out loud, you crap me up, Chris. This is kind of why I removed you from my mateys list before. My news feed was just constantly full of your self-promotion. I couldn't find things I was looking for. Hope you're doing well, from Thomas. Yeah, I know what you mean. The only thing is with the Facebook thing, I use that. I do use Facebook for advertising everything that I do. So whenever I'm doing something new, like a new chat show or a new DJ mix or a night out, anything like that, I change my status bar. Now the thing is, on the Facebook, every time you change a status bar, it puts a little note up. Now, if you haven't got many friends on Facebook, you will see a lot of notes from the few friends that you've got. And especially if, say, for example, you only had me as a friend and no one else, your screen would be full up of the updates from me, wouldn't it? And they stay there. The only time they move down is when someone else puts another note up. So that's a thing. However, there is a way of remaining friends with someone, but actually stopping the status updates from people. Now, I'm not sure exactly how to do that, but if you play around a little bit with the Facebook settings, you should be able to find that. So you can remain my friend, but not get my status updates. I'm sure there's a way of doing that. Perhaps if someone wants to enlighten us all how to do that, then send us through an email and I'll be glad to read that out, okay? Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now I've lost my next email. Is that it there? There we are. That's the one there. I'll put that down there on the floor. Okay. How are we doing on time? We haven't got much longer left, have we? Right. Hello to Maureen. Hello, Maureen. Oh, no, sorry. No. Marsha. Beg your pardon. Hello, Marsha. How are you, my darling? All very well, I hope. Nice to hear from you. Hi, Chris. Hope you're well. Just finished listening to last Tuesday's show and wanted to answer your question on whether or not any listeners gave money to homeless people. Now, that was actually a couple of weeks ago now. Yeah, we were talking about we're talking about the homeless and whether or not you do indeed did give money or food to them as you walk past them in the street. She says, in the past, I have based on whether or not I have any loose change in my pocket. I've been reluctant to go into my purse and open my wallet in front of someone. But if I knew I had $1 or some change in my pocket, I would not mind giving it to someone who obviously needed it. That's fair enough. I mean, I have to say, even when I'm going into certain shops in certain parts of London, I will get the money out of my little zip-up money holder myself and put it in my pocket before I get it out in the shop. You don't want to be opening a wallet with, 30, 40, 50 or more pounds in it, showing to everyone else in the shop how much you're carrying. You really don't want to do that. She says, however, I've lately had a few experiences that caused me to change my mind on that subject. The first was at a traffic light where I live in South Florida. We have rather large intersections on the road, and it's quite common to see homeless people gather at the traffic lights begging for money. One day, I was sitting in my car, close to the light, with my window down. As usual, the homeless woman walked down the line of stationary cars, holding her sign and stopping at each car to see if anyone would give her money. When she saw that no one at this particular stop would give her money, she lowered her sign and headed back to the lights. As she walked past my car, I heard her say, with real attitude, "Come on people, I've been out here all day," although she was doing something productive like a job. The second incident occurred just a few weeks ago when I went to the beach. I often go first thing in the morning, take a nice walk along the beach, and then, if I decide I'm going to stay for a few hours. When I walk, I have nothing but my car keys and a bottle of water on me, knowing that if I decide to stay, I will walk back to my car for my beach bag and deck chair. On this occasion, I was heading back to my car when a homeless man approached me. He made me quite nervous by telling me how he'd just got out of prison after a 15-year sentence. I think he was trying to prove how desperate he was. I've lost a bit of paper here, just a minute. Oh dear. Where's my other... There we are. Oh, I tell you what, I'm going to have to stop there. I'm right out of time. Part 2 of this email at the beginning, right at the beginning of the next show. I'm so sorry, I didn't realise what the time was there. If you want to join in by email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Sorry about that. See you on the next show. For myself, Chris Reardon. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye-bye.